One of the things that I recall about Charles and Bennie that really impressed me is, you know, she had been a school teacher for 37 years before, and she and I rode the school bus together from McCook into Edinburg when we were just young folks. And she was always a kind and gentle person. And Charles, of course, is very generous, and we work together on different things, but I've been always impressed with their humbleness and their generosity and their lack of wanting to call attention to themselves.
I arrived at age 7 in the Rio Grande Valley, and we came to the McCook area to live.
And I was born in Westlaco, moved to Edinburg within months, and did all of my growing up in Edinburg.
Well, we went through school together in Edinburg. Charles was what I call a city boy, and I was the country girl. But we started 4th grade together in Edinburg. He had done his previous 3 years in the Edinburg system, and I was 4th grader when I came. So we went through school together through, I should say, the 10th grade, and then Charles went away to T.M.I. in San Antonio, and he finished there, and I graduated from Edinburg High School.
So Bennie and I knew each other in the 4th grade, and then, lo and behold, we both went our separate ways, grew up, married, raised families, and decades and decades later, we both had become widowed by then, and at a 50th reunion of our class of Edinburg High School class of 1948, we had a reunion in Houston and met each other there. And it didn't take long before we realized that we should do more of this, and eventually we married.
Yes, I had a long career of teaching. I taught 35 years and had a wonderful, wonderful experience in every capacity that I taught in. I started out teaching in a little country school out at La Villa, 54 non-English speaking children, and I taught them English by teaching them poetry, starting with the nursery rhymes. And eventually I worked myself up to 5th grade. That's what I was assigned. And just had a marvelous career with actually starting the GT program in the Edinburg district. And then later I did some public relations for the school district and was involved with the career education program for the Edinburg School District when I retired.
And I'm a petroleum engineer. I worked straight out of college in Louisiana in the oil industry there, and then eventually moved back to the valley to McAll.en this time, and have been in McAll.en ever since.
Oh, there's no place like the valley. When we get away, I'm always the first one that wants to come back. Now, I fuss about traffic and heat and the sometimes hurricanes and that sort of thing, but it's really a great place to live. It's a great place to rear families. There's not any other place that we've been that I feel has the same opportunities as the Rio Grande Valley for rearing a family.
For me, it's mostly the people. We have wonderful weather compared to other parts of the nation, but the best part of the valley is the people. People are caring, and they get along well with each other, and that's more and more important these days. We can see by the news.
Respect the most about them is integrity, friendliness, generosity, and I guess those words probably, and humbleness. You know, they do all of this work, but without any intention of calling attention to themselves. And I think probably that generosity and humbleness would characterize how I feel about them.
I think of little girls of all ages, and I just think of them bouncing around in those little brown uniforms on up to the older girls for their silver and gold awards. And I've had the opportunity to work with a couple of those older girls in recent years, and it's been a pleasure.
I think of 2 or 3 Girl Scouts running up the sidewalk with a big sack of Girl Scout cookies and knocking on the door. And I also think of a whole troop of Girl Scouts saluting the flag and saying the Pledge of Allegiance. Modern youth need a way to become self-reliant, and if they can interface with nature the way Scouts do, they have a chance to grow, and they have companionship with other Scouts, and that's just a winning formula. And we'd like for the Girl Scouts of America to stick to its core principles.
I think there's a lot of faith in the Girl Scout program today that they will become the citizens of our country that they should be.